Hi, welcome back to the shop. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the router table today, and to do that we just need to build the drawers and get those installed, as well as finish installing the dust collection system and probably build a fence, at least a temporary fence for the router, and we'll see how that works out. We're going to go ahead and get started with the drawers, and to do that I've got my dovetailing jig set up, and this is a Porter Cable Omni jig. I'm not even sure they make this kind anymore, but it's a great jig because I can set it up and I can just crank out a lot of drawers. The main thing to remember when you're using this type of jig though is the drawer width, because my pins and tails are set. I just need to make sure that everything is in increments of 7/8 of an inch, and that's what I've done in this situation. My drawers themselves are all going to be the exact same height, I guess as it were, which is 5 1/4 of an inch. This works out great because on the tall drawers where I'm going to have my routers and stuff sit, I don't have to reach down inside a 12 or 13 inch box to pull out the router. I just want basically to contain the routers in there. And then the other drawers where I'm going to be putting a lot of the little stuff, these will actually fill up that compartment almost completely, and it'll be able to contain all those little pieces in the drawer without having things spill out into the rest of the carcass. I've gone ahead and set up the jig, and I have it set so that I have a perfect half pin at the top and the bottom, and that the drawers, the dovetails themselves are going to be nice and tight, and they'll be nice snug fit. To get started with that, I've gone ahead and laid out my drawers. I just identified the front and then a side here, and I've identified where the top is going to be, although that's not our big concern. For the material, I'm using a 1/2 inch Baltic birch plywood. I really like this stuff for drawers. It just really works out nicely. To do this, all I have to do is put the top of the drawer into the top of my jig, and then the bottom of the drawer is going to go up into this face here, and we'll bring that over nice and tight. Once the side of the drawer is locked firmly in the jig, I can bring the face up and make sure that it's tight against the stop and the front of the drawer. And I can go ahead and snug that down. And now I'm ready for routing. The router itself is set up with a 1/2 inch dovetailing bit and a 5/8 collar. First thing I'm going to do is just run it along the front of the jig, and then I'll come back and make sure I cut each pin and tail at the same time. And the way this jig works, the inside of the drawer is always facing out when you're routing it. And there you can see we have a nice tight dovetail joint for our drawer. Well, I've gone ahead and finished cutting all the dovetails, and now I need to cut the dado to receive the bottom. And to do that, I want to make sure I hide it inside one of the dovetails. So I've gone ahead and I've set up my stacked dado head cutter just the right width, and I've also marked the top inside of each drawer so I know exactly where to make that dado. Just go ahead and cut them out. Without changing the height of the dado, I've gone ahead and added a couple chippers to it, so I can now cut the dado to receive the back of the drawer. For the bottoms in the drawers, I'll be using 1/2-inch Baltic birch as well. Unfortunately, the dado that I cut to receive the bottom isn't quite a 1/2 inch, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut a rabbet all the way around, or on 3 sides of the bottom to receive that. The reason I want the extra thick bottom is that I'm going to be putting a lot of weight in these drawers, and I didn't want to have any problems down the road. I didn't have a lot of time over the last couple days, but in my free time I came out and assembled a couple drawers at a time. It only took a few minutes. They went together really easily. Everything was cut nice and square, so when I assembled them, put them together and installed the bottom, everything came out perfectly square, so it worked out really good. Now it's time to go ahead and install them into the carcass. For drawer glides, I'm going to be using these full extension glides. And what we'll do is we'll start by attaching the piece to the drawer side, and then we'll attach the other piece to the inside of the carcass. So I've gone ahead and taken that out, and I found that if I use just a piece of 1/2-inch spacer and I can line that up along the side, I can go ahead and screw these in place, and that works well. I do need to hold the end of this back from the edge, just about 1/8 of an inch here, and I've just got a little tri-square here that I can set up and get that so that it's in the correct place. And I'll just screw that down with a couple of screws. To install the rest of the drawer glide, I've just brought my spacer over and set it inside the cabinet, and I have my drawer glide sitting on top of it. Now I need to set this back. I want my total depth back to be about 1/4 of an inch. So I've set one back about 1/8, so I need to bring this one, set this one back about 3/8, and that should give me about what I need for my setback. So I'll just go ahead and put that in place. And then once I hold that in place, I'll slide this out where I can put in some screws. One of the things I need to make sure I watch out for is, obviously I have this airline in here, so I want to make sure I avoid that when I'm installing the screws. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but one of the things, I purchased these drawer glides off of eBay, and I guess you get what you pay for, because I'm always looking for a bargain. But when they provided the screws for it, one of the things I have to do is drill through these slots in here so that the screw can go in the hole and go on the side, and this can slide freely. Well, they made the screws bigger than the slots that they make, so it's kind of difficult to get those in there, and I might have to come up with some other screws to finish the installation on this. Well, I've gone ahead and finished the installation. I did find some smaller screws that would fit in here. So I've got both sides installed with at least 4 screws on the bottom. Everything looks nice and tight. Now, one of the things you need to take into account when you're building drawers and you're planning on using these drawer sides, you need to make your drawer box 1 inch smaller than the actual opening to allow for the drawer glides. And that's what I've done here. So now let's go ahead and install them to see how we did. They should just slide right in. And that looks pretty good. You can see I have full access to the entire drawer here. Well, let's see what we can put in this one. As you can see, this drawer will easily accommodate at least 5 routers. I think I have about 8 routers total, but a couple of those are already in jigs, and another one is just a trim router, so that can go in another box someplace else. But right now, that's exactly what I was hoping for. I've gone ahead and installed most of the drawers, and before I can install the last 2 drawers, I need to take care of the dust collection system. When I originally drilled these holes, I just planned on having a 4-inch outside diameter pipe coming through this hole, and then this would attach to it. But what I found out is that sticks out almost 12 inches past the top of the router table, and I didn't want to do that. So what I think I'm going to do is put this whole mechanism down inside of it. Unfortunately, it's a little bit bigger than the hole is. So I'm going to have to modify this hole so that this pipe can just barely stick out. About 1.5 inches will actually stick out of the hole here for my quick connect to connect to, and that way everything will be nice and compact. To do that, unfortunately, I don't have a drill bit that's just a 1/4 inch bigger here, so I'm just going to have to kind of do that by hand. You start with a jigsaw, use files, rasps, whatever it takes. Well, I have all the pieces set up for my dust collection system and dry fitted in place. I have a piece back here that's going through the wall. I have this center piece, and this has a 2 1/4 inch right angle mount on it, and that's going to be for the dust collection hose for the fence. And then I have another piece that actually comes from the cavity where the router table is going to be, and it's going to go into this piece to bring it all through. And one of the nice things about this is when you look at it from the outside, is that I have a very low profile, and this isn't the final profile. I have a very low profile that's going to sit on the outside of the router table cabinet, so that when I want to, I can hook up my dust collection system and everything will be nice and tidy. So the first thing I need to do now is mark the location of the dust collection hose that'll go up to the fence. Well, I marked the location of the hole, and now we're getting ready to drill. I'm going to use a 3-inch hole saw. I got all the holes drilled. I put a 3-inch hole in the back to receive the hose for the dust collection pipe, and now it's time just to kind of put everything together. So I'll start by putting this through there. This will come on this way. You gotta get wrangled into that hole. Okay. And now, put my last piece on over here. Okay. Now all I have to do is secure everything with some screws and tighten down the hose clamps. And there we go. One dust collection system. Now we can go ahead and install the last 2 drawers in this compartment. Well, as you can see, I have gone ahead and dropped in the insert, and everything looks like it's going to fit just fine. All the drawers are in place now, and as you can see, I have lots and lots of storage, and I can't wait to kind of empty out my other storage space so I can rearrange things and make things a little more tidy on the other side of the shop. Next time we'll go ahead and build some drawer fronts. We'll install the door, and then maybe we'll get around to building the fence I keep talking about, or maybe I'll just purchase one and install it. I haven't really decided yet, but I'll probably play around with something first. As usual, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, feel free to email me at andrew@thelevelplumbindsquare.com. Until then, enjoy your day.